Picture this: a packed arena in Toronto, lights blazing, cameras rolling. The kind of night where every beat in the air feels electric. Drake, the hometown hero, steps up to the mic, dripping in confidence and designer threads, ready to deliver the verse everyone came to hear. The crowd roars until it happens. That moment, that unthinkable moment. Right in the middle of his career-defining track, Drake freezes. His lips stop moving. The beat keeps going. But the words just won't come. For a split second, the entire arena falls into stunned silence. Then, like a wave crashing, the boos start. Loud, relentless, and cutting through that chaos. A voice from backstage mocking, sharp, unmistakable. Kendrick Lamar, the man Drake's been trading subtle shots with for years, now standing in the shadows with a smirk that says, "Checkmate." Fans gasp. Phones shoot up to capture every second. Twitter catches fire, and within minutes, the clip is everywhere. Drake's face, caught between panic and disbelief, is frozen in meme history. But here's the thing: what really went down that night isn't what you think. And when you hear the backstage truth, you might never look at either of them the same way again. The energy in the arena was unlike anything anyone had felt before. Drake had been hyping this concert for weeks, promising surprises, guest appearances, and moments that would make history. The stage was bathed in golden light, the kind that makes every camera flash look like a starburst. The bass thumped so hard that people could feel it in their chests, and fans were screaming his name long before he even appeared. It was supposed to be his night, his city, his crowd. And yet fate had other plans. He stepped out with that easy swagger he was known for, flashing his signature smile. The opening tracks were flawless, every bar delivered with precision. The audience was eating it up, singing every word back to him. But then came the moment everyone had been waiting for, one of his biggest hits. The song that defined an entire era of his career. The beat dropped, the crowd erupted, and Drake leaned into the mic. And then, nothing. Slight pause at first, like maybe he was teasing the crowd. But as the seconds ticked by, it became painfully clear he had completely blanked on his own lyrics. At first, the audience didn't know how to react. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was part of the show. But then the beat kept going, and he still wasn't rapping. He stumbled over a few lines, mumbling words that didn't quite fit, his voice cracking just slightly. The cameras caught the flicker of panic in his eyes, and that's when it happened. A low ripple of boos started from somewhere near the back. It was small at first, but it spread fast. The noise grew louder, more aggressive. It was surreal. This was Drake's city, his home turf, and yet the crowd was turning on him. He tried to laugh it off, pacing the stage like it was all part of some elaborate joke. But the tension was thick enough to choke on. From somewhere backstage, a voice rang, out clear, mocking, and dripping with satisfaction. "Forget your own bars, huh?" The crowd reacted instantly. Heads whipped around, trying to see where it came from. And then, emerging slowly from the shadows like he had been waiting for this moment his whole life, was Kendrick Lamar. Dressed in a casual hoodie and jeans, he didn't even need a mic. His voice carried over the chaos, fueled by the collective shock of the audience. The history between these two wasn't new. They'd taken shots at each other in tracks, traded veiled insults in interviews. And the media had been feeding on their rivalry for years. But never had it played out in real time. On a stage this big, Drake froze for a second, his jaw tightening. "Really, Kendrick? You came all the way here for this?" He said into the mic, his voice trying to sound calm but laced with irritation. Kendrick just smirked. "Nah, man, I was already here. I just didn't think I'd see the day Toronto." Turned on, it's Golden Boy. The crowd gasped. Phones were up in the air, recording every second, knowing this was going to explode online. Drake tried to regain control, telling the DJ to cut the track, but the damage was done. Kendrick was now strolling onto the stage, the boos and cheers, mixing into a confusing roar. Some fans were thrilled to see him. Others looked like they just witnessed a betrayal. How about we give them a real show? Kendrick challenged, stepping right up to Drake's space. The tension was electric. Two of the biggest names in rap standing inches apart, the entire stadium hanging on every word. Drake's face was unreadable, but his eyes told a different story. There was anger there, yes, but also embarrassment. This wasn't just about forgetting a lyric. It was about respect, image, and pride. "You think you're funny? Huh?" Drake muttered, low enough that the mic barely caught it. Kendrick tilted his head, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Think I'm better?" The audience erupted into chaos. Some were screaming for a battle, others were shouting for Drake to throw him off the stage. But Drake wasn't about to let Kendrick control the narrative. "You want to stand here and clown me?" "Go ahead," Drake said, raising his hands in mock surrender. "But you better believe when I come back, it's going to be something you can't follow." Kendrick's smile didn't fade. "Then prove it." Right now, it was madness. No one in the arena knew if they were witnessing the beginning of an impromptu rap battle or the implosion of one of hip-hop's most famous rivalries. Drake's DJ looked unsure, glancing between the two of them like he was about to play referee. Before Drake could respond, a voice from the front row shouted, "Don't let him punk you." That only fueled the fire. Drake took a deep breath, stepped forward, and started spitting a few lines. It wasn't his best work, anyone could tell he was improvising, but it was enough to get a reaction. The crowd cheered, some relieved, others just wanting the awkwardness to end. Kendrick clapped slowly, clearly unimpressed. "Cute, but I think they came here for something real." And with that, he launched into a verse so sharp, so cutting, that people's jaws literally dropped. He weaved in references to Drake's forgotten lyrics, past controversies, and even threw in a line about Drake's relationships, all with a rhythm that was impossible to ignore. The boos turned into cheers, this time for Kendrick. Drake's expression hardened. The night that was supposed to be his triumphant celebration was slipping out of his hands. He knew he couldn't let it end like this. He motioned for the DJ to switch it up, starting a track that wasn't on the set list. The beat hit heavy, the lights dimmed, and Drake leaned into the mic with a new intensity. This time, the words came flawlessly, his flow tight, his delivery sharp. It was a comeback attempt, and for a moment it seemed like he might just win. The crowd backed, but Kendrick wasn't done. He stood there, arms crossed, letting Drake finish before leaning in and saying, "Too little, too late." The words hit like a punch, and the audience reacted with another loud mix of cheers and groans. Somewhere in the chaos, security started moving toward the stage, sensing that things might escalate. The tension was now so high, it felt like the air itself was vibrating. And just as Drake was about to fire back, something unexpected happens. Someone else grabbed a mic from the side of the stage, and the voice that came out made both of them stop in their tracks. The voice that cut through the noise was raspy, confident, and instantly recognizable to anyone who had followed the rap game for the last 2 decades. "Man, y'all really doing this in front of a sold-out crowd?" The spotlight swung to the side, and there he was, Snoop Dogg, dressed in a glittering blue tracksuit, strolling onto the stage like he owned it. The arena erupted into chaos, half in disbelief, half in sheer excitement. Drake and Kendrick both turned toward him, their earlier standoff momentarily frozen. Snoop didn't rush. He walked right up to the middle of the stage, holding his mic low, a sly grin on his face. "You two acting like a couple of rookies out here," he said, shaking his head slowly. Drake, forgetting lyrics in your own backyard? Kendrick, crashing another man's show. Man, what happened to respect in this game? Kendrick smirked, leaning into his own mic. Respect's earned, Uncle Snoop. Drake fired back instantly, and sometimes it's taken. Snoop chuckled, but there was an edge in his voice now. Nah, see. Y'all forgetting the real thing? This crowd didn't pay to see a schoolyard fight. They came for history. He turned to the audience. Am I right? The response was deafening. Drake was still simmering, but he knew Snoop wasn't someone you ignored. So what? You're here to play mediator. Snoop looked at both of them. Nah, I'm here to see if either of you still got the guts to go toe-to-toe without hiding behind rehearsed tracks. He gestured toward the DJ. Cut the beat. The arena fell into near silence, except for the hum of the crowd. Snoop stepped back, leaving a few feet between Drake and Kendrick. You both say you're the best. Prove it. No hooks. No hype men. Just bars. Kendrick's eyes lit up. You really want this, Drake? Drake squared his shoulders. I've been wanting this. And then it began. Kendrick went first. His delivery, rapid fire and venomous, every line aimed like a bullet. He didn't just talk about the forgotten lyrics, he tore into Drake's entire career. All them chart toppers, but no soul. He rapped 100 ghostwriters and still can't hold. The crowd roared, some clutching their heads like they just witnessed a car crash in slow motion. Drake didn't flinch, but his jaw was tight. When it was his turn, he came in slow and deliberate, letting each word hang heavy in the air. You talk about my charts like it's some kind of sin, but your last hit. Man, remind me when... The crowd ooh-hoot, a ripple of energy moving through them. Snoop stood off to the side, nodding, occasionally muttering, "That's what I'm talking about." Round after round, they traded blows. Kendrick with his razor-sharp metaphors, Drake with his calculated, icy comebacks. The energy in the arena shifted constantly, one moment leaning toward Kendrick, the next surging back to Drake. Social media was already on fire, with live streams popping up from every corner of the venue. But then, in the middle of one of Drake's verses, something strange happened. The giant screen above the stage flickered, then glitched, before a live feed appeared. It showed someone backstage, someone who definitely wasn't supposed to be there. It was Pusha T. He was sitting casually in a folding chair, wearing sunglasses indoors, sipping what looked like tea. He leaned forward into the camera and said, "Oh, don't mind me, just here to watch history repeat itself." The crowd exploded with screams and gasps. Drake froze for just a fraction of a second, but it was enough for Kendrick to catch it and smirk. Pusha continued, "See, the thing about beef is, it don't go away just because you want it to. And tonight, oh, tonight is gonna be delicious." Then the feed cut out and the screen went black dot. The tension on stage was unbearable. Snoop looked from Drake to Kendrick. What the hell was that about? Drake clenched his jaw. Don't worry about him. This is between me and Kendrick. Kendrick raised an eyebrow. Oh, it's never just between two people. Drake should know that by now. The DJ, sensing the crowd was slipping into pure frenzy, dropped a new beat, something heavy, aggressive, primal. Kendrick dove in again, his voice slicing through the air. Even Pusha, watching you crumble. He rapped, "Your kingdoms, shaking, the walls all tumble." Drake came back harder this time, his voice low but full of menace. "I built my empire without your blessing, and I'll still be here when you're done confessing." The audience was split, half cheering, half booing, all completely captivated. And just when it seemed like they might settle this right there, a commotion erupted near the barricades. Security rushed toward the side of the stage, and a figure began forcing their way through. The spotlight followed, and the crowd collectively lost their minds when they saw who it was. Rihanna, she was moving fast. Her expression unreadable, dressed in all black. She climbed up onto the stage without hesitation, walking straight toward Drake. Kendrick stepped back slightly, sensing this was about to take a sharp turn. Snoop's eyebrows shot up. Rihanna stopped just a few feet from Drake, staring at him. The air was so tense that you could hear the faint crackle of the speakers. Finally, she said. So this is what it's come to. Drake swallowed hard. Rihanna, this isn't. She cut him off, her voice cold. Save it. You think this is about lyrics? About him? She jerked her chin toward Kendrick. This is about you showing the world exactly who you've become. Kendrick glanced at Snoop, both of them looking just as confused as the crowd. Drake's single quotes as face tightened. You don't know what you're talking about, Rihanna smirked. But there was no humor in it. Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And then, in front of everyone, she turned toward the audience and said something that made the entire arena gasp so loud it drowned out the music. Rihanna's voice was steady, but every word dripped with venom. It's been lying to all of you, she said, scanning the crowd, her gaze sharp and unblinking. About the tours, about the music, about who's really writing the songs you scream along to. The arena erupted into a wave of shocked shouts and frantic murmurs. Even Kendrick's confident smirk faltered for a moment, as if he hadn't expected the evening to take this turn. Snoop's head dropped slightly, muttering something under his breath that sounded a lot like, "Oh no, not tonight." Drake shook his head, raising his mic, his voice cutting through the chaos. Rihanna, stop. You're twisting AM. She interrupted, her tone rising. Tell them about the night in LA, Drake. Tell them who was sitting in that studio at 3 a.m, finishing your verses while you were busy elsewhere. The audience gasped again, and every phone in the arena was pointed at the stage. Kendrick stepped forward slowly, clearly, savoring the moment. Oh, now this is interesting, he said, his voice like a shark circling the water. Sounds like somebody's been getting help again. Drake's face darkened. You don't know what you're talking about, Kendrick. And you? He pointed at Rihanna. You have no right to be up here. Rihanna took a step closer, her heels clicking against the stage floor. No right. It was there when you built this. I was there when you made promises about keeping it real. But you traded all that in for headlines and fake hits. The crowd was eating it up, their divided chants filling the air, some yelling for Rihanna, some for Drake, others egging Kendrick on to deliver another blow. Kendrick raised his hands like he was in church. You know, I was just here to clown a man for forgetting his own lyrics. But now I'm thinking this is bigger than all of us. Snoop stepped forward, finally trying to calm things down. Look, man, this is turning into something that's gonna blow up way past music. Y'all want to air out personal business? You should. But before Snoop could finish, the arena screens flickered again. Another live feed popped up, this time, showing a dimly lit room. A man sat at a desk, shuffling papers. When he looked up into the camera, the crowd collectively gasped for the third time that night. It was Jay-Z. So this is what the game's come to, Jay said, his voice slow and deliberate. Beefing on stage while the world watches. You think this makes you legends? Nah. Legends settle it in the booth. Kendrick crossed his arms. Funny, coming from you. Jay ignored the jab, calling it now. It's tomorrow, noon. One track. Each drop them raw. No edits, no label politics. The world will decide who's really on top. And with that, the feed cut out again. The crowd was electric, chanting, screaming, some already tweeting about the challenge. Drake's voice was tight, but he nodded slowly. Fine, I'm in. Kendrick smirked. Me too. Rihanna gave a short, humorless laugh. Good. Maybe now the truth will come out. Watch. She turned to leave the stage, but Drake's voice stopped her. And what about you, huh? You think you're innocent in all this? She didn't even look back. I'm not the one with something to hide. The tension was unbearable, but the DJ, sensing the energy, dropped a beat again. Snoop muttered, "These kids don't listen," and stepped back. Kendrick leaned into Drake's space, low enough that only those in the front row could hear. Noon tomorrow, you're done. Drake gave the smallest of smirks. Will? See, and just when it seemed the night couldn't get any more chaotic, a voice rang out from the opposite end of the stage. "Hey, y'all, forgot about me?" The crowd turned, and the lights revealed Kanye West, wearing oversized shades and an expression that could freeze steel. Kanye strode toward them, ignoring the crowd's deafening reaction. Nah, see, there's a rap war tomorrow. I'm part of it." Kendrick laughed out loud. "This just keeps getting better." Drake rolled his eyes. "You just can't stay out of anything, can you?" Kanye smirked. "Not when history's being written, and trust me, Drake, I've got a few verses you're not ready for." The crowd exploded again. Security now on edge as all four of them stood on stage. Snoop was shaking his head like a weary parent, but even he couldn't deny the electricity in the air. Kendrick gestured toward Kanye. "Want to jump in? Go ahead. But tomorrow, somebody's gonna end up embarrassed." Looked between them, his smirk widening. "Oh, I'm counting on it. I'm counting on it." And then, with no warning, he dropped a line, just one that made the entire arena scream in disbelief. Kanye leaned into the mic, the beat still pulsing faintly in the background. "Drake's been texting me for months," he said, his voice calm but loaded with malice, "begging me to write him something that could beat Kendrick. I told him, nah." The crowd erupted into pure chaos, screams, boos, laughter, gasps. Phone shot higher in the air. Even Kendrick's jaw dropped slightly before a wide grin spread across his face. "Oh man, this is beautiful," Kendrick said, pacing in a slow circle like a predator smelling blood. Drake's face tightened into something cold, the kind of look that could cut glass. "You're lying," he said flatly, though his voice had a faint quiver that didn't go unnoticed. "That never happened." Kanye shrugged, his shades hiding his eyes. "Believe what you want, but I got the receipts. Do you think I'd show? Up here without proof." Kendrick laughed, shaking his head. "It's got you cornered, man." I almost feel bad. Almost Snoop, who had been quiet for a full minute, finally raised his hands. Nah, hold up. This is about to turn into some mess nobody's walking away from clean. You're talking texts, secrets, ghostwriters, exes, man. You're spilling the whole kitchen sink on stage right now." But the crowd wasn't on Snoop's wavelength. They were loving it. Chance started up. "Show the texts." "Show the texts." Kanye reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. With a single tap, the massive arena screens lit up with screenshots. Blurry, but legible enough. There they were, messages between a contact saved as Drizzy and Kanye. "Need something. Big to shut Kendrick down," one read. "You know my style, make it a hit, not just bars." Another said, "This verse is too good. I'll take it, no changes." The crowd gasped again, the sound almost physical in its intensity. Drake's voice was tight, almost trembling with anger. "You're pathetic, Kanye. You've been looking for a way to drag me for years." Kanye grinned. "And tonight, the universe handed me the mic." Kendrick stepped forward, his tone mocking. "Guess we're learning the truth, one text at a time." But before Drake could respond, a new voice cut through everything, a booming announcement from the arena speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, this event is now over. Please exit safely." Security swarmed the stage, moving with the urgency of people trying to defuse a bomb. The audience groaned, refusing to leave, chanting for more. Snoop leaned toward Drake. "Man, just walk away tonight. Live to fight tomorrow." Drake shook his head. "Nah, they think I'm running scared. I can't." He turned to Kendrick. "Tomorrow at noon, you better be ready for the biggest embarrassment of your life." Kendrick grinned, nodding slowly. "Don't be late," Kanye chuckled, tapping his phone. "I'll be there too. I'll bring more receipts." As security began pushing them apart, Drake suddenly leaned into Kendrick's ear and whispered something. Kendrick's eyes widened, not with fear, but with intrigue. "Oh, so you got secrets too," he said, his smirk deepening. Rihanna, who had been standing just off stage, stepped forward again, her voice cold and final. "When this is over, one of you won't just lose the battle, you'll lose your career." The crowd screamed in unison, and before anyone could react, the lights went out. Total darkness swallowed the arena. When the spotlights flicked back on, Drake, Kendrick, Kanye, and Rihanna were gone. Only Snoop remained, standing center stage. With a baffled expression, he shook his head, mic in hand. "Y'all better cancel your plans tomorrow. It's about to get ugly." And with that, he dropped the mic, the sound echoing through the stadium as the crowd roared and the feed from the arena went black, leaving millions watching on Linzo. Here we are after a night that was supposed to be Drake's grand victory. Lap, we're left with more questions than answers. A forgotten lyric spiraled into a live humiliation. A face-to-face showdown with Kendrick. Surprise interventions from Snoop Dogg, Rihanna, Kanye West, and even a broadcast from Jay-Z himself. And just when you thought it couldn't go any further, Kanye drops alleged receipts. Rihanna calls out Drake's authenticity. Pusha T lurks from the shadows. And the stage itself becomes a battlefield tomorrow at noon. According to Jay-Z's challenge, we're getting raw. Unfiltered diss tracks from Drake and Kendrick hand. Maybe even Kanye if his ego gets him there first. Fans are already picking sides online. Hashtags are trending worldwide. And every hip-hop forum is exploding with predictions. Will Drake bounce back with a kind of track that erases tonight's embarrassment? Will Kendrick deliver something so lethal it ends the feud for good? Or will Kanye and Rihanna's interference turn this into a four-way war nobody saw coming? This isn't just music beef anymore, it's legacy, reputation, and careers on the line. And the craziest part? None of us know who's walking away from this as the winner. But now, it's over to you. Do you think Drake can recover from what happened tonight? Or has Kendrick already won the war before it's even started? Are Kanye's receipts the smoking gun? Or just another headline grab? And what's Rihanna really holding back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll be reading every single one. Make sure you hit that like button if you want us to break down every lyric when those diss tracks drop. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the moment this story explodes again. Trust me, the next chapter is going to be even wilder.